Good afternoon, everyone. And today is Saturday, 3 p.m., our regular good time. Instead of going to nap, we're going to do some interesting talk about getting audited. Yes, I got audited. And when you utter that word, say you got audited, I know how you feel. So this webinar, what we want to do is to kind of explain to you as a business owner and how your audit is going to come through. And then once you get audited, what really is all about and how are you dealing with it. So do you need to hire someone or no, do it yourself? And what are the things you want to keep in mind? So it's a big topic, but I intend to cover this in 45 minutes. Hopefully we can get to the core of it. Because of the experience I have in this field, I think I can offer you some real down-to-earth practical advices. So cut short your path that you're running around and you can narrow into exactly the issues that you have. So let's get going. And what you see right now is our website, right? So you can actually find a lot of information on our website. Look at where I pointed at. This is onboarding with us. You literally can become our client without talking to community CPA, without calling our number, because you go to onboarding with us and you sign up. Then you can start uploading whatever document you have. If you get audited and you already kind of gone through it halfway and felt like, no way, I can't answer this question anymore of these auditor, felt like I'm being squeezed to the corner and I need some help. Once you get there, we need to see so much of your documentation, right, that you submitted to the auditor. So the best way is to upload them onto our portal. And we have someone behind the scene watching the portal movement. So we know that you logged in, we know who you are, so we can contact you right away. So you onboarded with us really quickly. And then you can also make an appointment with us right here, folks. And you click here, you're gonna see all the partners. And whoever you choose, and some of the partners has a 30 minutes free consultation. Just book that. 30 minutes, you can get your question answered, you get to know the firm, then you can make a decision whether you want to work with us or not, right? So it is a really convenient way for you to get to know us. Then of course, YouTube channel. Everything we talk about here, whether it's on Tuesday or on Saturday or any other days, we have 4 videos and we air every week. So all of them are here. And you can search them under the magnify glasses and you type into the keyword, you're gonna find all the videos that we have for the past 4 years. A lot of video, a lot of content. And I do have to say that even though there's so much changes in the tax rules and regulations and stuff, but the content, the core content are still pretty consistent. So you won't get so totally outdated information on our YouTube channel. Of course, the pandemic-related government subsidized dollars, those kind of programs are expiring, so those are not really going to be something you're looking for. With that said, let's get going with our content for today. So I will share my my PowerPoint. So get audited, right? Not just a big surprise, of course, not a surprise. We sort of waiting for it every day, right? I have business owners just come to us that whatever you do, Ying, and we're good, I just want you to promise me I will never get audited. How could anybody promise you unless you get those China printed Bibles signed by Trump? Then maybe that could be a promise. And with that said, let's just talk about our firm, right? We are 27 years old CPA firm. Obviously, we hold out as a CPA firm, so we do a lot of things. We do accounting, we do tax, we do audit, we have business consultation. We also now have wealth division, wealth management side of service we provide, and we also have legal lawyers who works with our team. So we're really a one-stop shop, as you can tell. We have more than 12,000 clients worldwide, speaking 10 different languages among our professional staff. Yes, we don't need privacy, don't we? We can just speak different languages in the open air because the other staff probably don't even understand what I was talking about because we all speak different languages. But of course, at our firm, when we speak to each other, and I do encourage my staff speaking English just because obviously English is the one that we communicate to the outside of world, even though we are, English is my second language. That's why I always say my English is Chinglish, is not really a good English. Then I encourage everybody else to actually try to speak English properly. Then you can always have this asset with you where you speak another language, right? Not to replace English. It is so important. So even though we speak so many different languages, but we still speak English among our staff. If I catch two people speaking the other languages like Chinese or Spanish or something, and I always say that no, you need to speak English among our staff. So that's how we grow within our professional environment, and we want to make sure that we are efficient in terms of communicating with you, with the majority of our clients in English properly. But if you just happen to do not speak English or speak very beginner English, then we're here to help you, right? We have 5 branches. 5 branches. The newest one is Houston, Texas. That one we started in July 2024. And honestly speaking, they're still short of tables and chairs, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Of course, myself, I have these 2 books I published on Amazon, and you can buy those books. And if you purchase those books, want me to autograph for you, I am so honored and pleased to do that. So I have 2 sets of books on my desk, and people want me to autograph, so I will do. And these 2 books are actually just business journeys of every entrepreneur. You start your business at 8 a.m., you grow your business at 10 a.m., and I am working on the 3rd book, which is expansion. You expand your business at 2 p.m., then hopefully you retire or repurpose your life at 6 p.m. So with that said, I have 2 more books to go, but those are things I do. I really, believe it or not, even though English is my second language, I really enjoy writing. I can't really tell you how that become a thing, but I felt like it's equivalent to maybe alcoholic drinking alcohol and drug dealers taking drugs, and I just think that gave me that kind of a high when I really can focus on writing. So that is just a gift, right? I see that as a gift. I know a lot of people have those kind of activities. Maybe I know one of my child like to draw, so I know that is the high point, and every time she does something and she's drawing. So that's probably the moment life is thoroughly enjoyed. So life is thoroughly enjoyed when I write. So that is kind of the writing relationship, the write about everything, the relationship I have with that keyboard or pen, however you say that. All right, no responsibility disclaimer, and this is advice from our corporate attorney to make sure that when we don't engage each other on a service provider, service recipient's relationship, so all of the things you see and feel and touch, it is not responsibility of community CPA. So that's actually rings true for everything you see like free outside of outside of your monetary transaction, and you can't really rely on free. Some you get lucky if you got something for free and really good, but just make sure that you are being critical about what you're getting and being critical of what we are sharing. If we are doing something not right, or you're questioning whether we're saying it right or wrong, bring it to us, because we would love to learn, and we absolutely appreciate your comments and input, and so we can grow together, right? That's always my mantra. Let's grow together. All right, what are the most common audit in business owner's life? Just these 4. Before I had a similar talk in the past, I actually added a lot of pandemic related compliance audit, I don't think they're gone, but the government is just too busy in doing these elections, and right now it is not really much going on. And the little bit I see was done so poorly, it's just like wasting IRS's time and wasting taxpayers' time. But these four audits are kind of traditional, are kind of normal, are kind of long-lasting, so forever will exist. Income tax audit. Every time you talk about income tax audit, you need to know that it's two, right? It's a federal government, state government. So the most often you see federal government audit, then it will trigger a automatic assessment at the state. So let's say you did a federal government tax audit on your business, and they said that you underreported $200,000 income. And after they finish the audit, they charge you for the tax amount you were not paying, then add accuracy penalty, then add interest, and all of that together. So you're paying the federal audit bills. 2 weeks later, you will receive a letter from the state government. If you reside at the state where income tax is a thing, then you will be charged with income tax, additional income tax from the state. So basically, your income tax audit is always twofold. Then you may say that, well, what if I get audited by the state? And am I going to receive a letter from the federal government for owing what the state charges? And the honest truth, I can tell you, based on my 27 years practice here, I have not seen the state audit, income tax audit, would regurgitate it back to the federal and become a new bill. But from federal to state happens every single time. So that kind of gives you an idea how our system limitation is. But with the technology, folks, every day we're talking about innovations, changes, and I would not be surprised at all. And the system will start talking to each other, and you will be getting notice. If you get a federal audit, you get state notice. If you get state audit, you get federal additional assessment on your tax liability. No problem. That is just a sync. It's a computer API syncage issue, right? It is not anything hard. It is absolutely legit for the two governments to charge you on the same amount you underreported. So that's income tax audit. Sales and use tax audit is a state tax, right? So those are state managed taxes. And remember, we have this, election is always in my mind. And I don't know how much time I spend on election news every day, but I understand this tariff tax. I had a webinar talk about that to educate you what that is, because it is not like what Trump was telling people. And maybe he knows how to spell the word of tariff, but he definitely did not understand what tariff tax is all about. So the way he decided to do this tariff tax for folks, it is another sales tax for everyone. So we already have a sales tax at the state level, so Trump is proposing a federal sales tax on everything that is coming to consumer. I'm talking about everything. I'm not talking about just things from China, because the stuff from China is embedded to everything we have that is made in United States of America. So with a lot of that complex economic result, so sales tax and use tax audit, it is definitely a measure for the state to make sure they collect the revenue properly. So you would, if you're a business person, you have a business running, and wherever you sell your product, and the place they use your product, that's where the sales tax should be collected, and the use tax should be remitted. So that is the audit. It is, of course, your daily meal. I mean, I have not seen any state that our firm worked with and they do not do audit on sales tax. They do all the time. And they have a permanent staff on board, do nothing, just sales tax and use tax audit. So that is a regular daily business deal. Federal Department of Labor, DOL, they do audit. A lot of these audit is related to the employee, the business hired. So if you're not paying the employee properly, not according to the labor wages law, then the Department of Labor would come to audit you, make you pay it. So that is really a measure they put in place to have every business to compete on a fair ground, right? We should not be having some businesses don't have to follow the labor law, some do, and in reality we all should follow. So that is an audit that goes on all the time. And employee tax audit and classification audit handled by the state and the federal government. That happens a lot too. So those are, these are the audit, they come in, they say, oh, you have two contractors, we think these contractors are employee. Therefore, for federal government, you owe Social Security Medicare payment. For the state government, you owe their unemployment insurance payment. So that triggers a lot more expenses that you did not prepare for, right? So you really, really want to make sure that when you classify some of your worker or one or two of your worker to be a contractor, and you need to have all your documentation ready. You really need to make sure that that is appropriate. A lot of times we see some companies, even same companies, they, because of the contract is being drafted differently, then the result of audit is different. So just make sure you understand all of these audits. If I give you a second, you think about all the audit that's possible for small businesses, and if you can recite these four, really, you're actually pretty good with knowing what kind of compliance, what kind of risk you are running when you're running a business. How do you know you got an audit? Someone just called me last night, and this is a restaurant owner from Florida, and he called me and said that, Ying, I am getting audited. And I said, why do you say you get audited? Send me the paper. He goes, no, it's a call, because it was calling me like 3-4 times a day, and for the last few days, and I just want to know what to do, because they say that I get audited, I owe this money. And I told him that's a spam. He goes, oh, really? How do you know it's a spam? I know it is spam because you do not get audited because someone sound really serious telling you that you get audited. No. I use IRS as an example. The federal government does things this way. The state government don't have to follow the same as what federal government do, but a majority of the state in the United States of America actually follow those rules, because that is just a practice that is being vetted through by federal system, so they know that is fair, is right. So that's how people work, how the government work with the citizens. So for IRS, for example, if you get audited, you get an IRS notification letter. That letter asks you for either have you give them the documentation so they can examine it. It's called a correspondence audit, which means that they don't need to see your pretty face. They just want you to look at the letter, see what they're auditing you, and get paperwork ready and submit. That's a correspondence audit, and I would say is the least nerve-wracking audit. If you really have a good record, you're going to pass that like flying colors and no big deal, right? And the other letters would say that, hey, I will meet you in my building, compliance office, and at this time, this day. And let me know if you can't. So that letter is what we call the compliance audit. Compliance audit normally is because some of your data on your tax return was looking not in compliance with IRS requirement. That's why you are pulled out as a compliance audit. A good example would be someone has a Schedule C sole proprietorship business, but it has a $16,000 rent in that Schedule C. 16,000. 16,000 is quite a bit rent for a sole proprietorship, and at the same time, he has the home office claim. So that was ranked for audit because, small business, you didn't really make much, and also they have a big, huge loss. They didn't really make much of an income, and the $16,000 rent just seems to be so outrageous. So they got audited. With that said, they do have certain deviation scores. When IRS receive your data, they're doing analysis to come up with a list of taxpayers that's supposed to be looked at. So that's how you're being ringed out for audit. Or maybe you just forgot to report something, so you were pulled out. Those are compliance audit, and you do it with your officers in the local location, and that's the second more nerve-wracking, but it's not the worst. The worst is the one that the field auditor is actually coming to you and they visit your place. But even if they visit your place, they would have a badge ready. They would be gentle. They're not a criminal investigators coming over to you and is ready to put handcuff on your wrist. No, they are just here getting to know you, getting to know your business. Most likely, they probably go to your business place instead of really going to your home. So you will not be surprised by a phone call, and you're certainly not going to get an email saying that you are being audited. If you pay me $10,000 and your audit may be ignored because that's all the amount you owe. Those are spam, so don't fall into it. So you got audited because you have a proper documentation in your hand to tell you what they want to do with you. That letter tells you that, yes, we selected you, and here are things we want you to do. It is never going to be a letter making you not sure whether you were audited or not. The language is very clear, okay? And you will not, be audited just because of your neighbor is IRS agent and your dog pooed on their lawn and they got really upset with you, and then you go, man, I'm going to be audited tomorrow. And we made our neighbor mad, and he is the IRS auditor. Now what to do? And those things really do not exist. It should not happen. I trust our government, our agencies has rules, regulations, and professional conduct educations on these auditors. They will not do that to you. They will not take their power to abuse you. Of course, the disclaimer is if the right president can make onto the chair and rather than dictator, that I don't know. I can guarantee they won't use these tools to make people's life miserable. All right, let's see what to do when you get audited. You should know why you are being audited. There was one time someone called me and said, "Oh, Ying, I got audited. Can I have you to help me?" And, of course I can help. So I asked, "Do you know why you get audited?" Goes, "Oh, no, I don't know." And can I even ask that? So folks are not sure whether they can really ask the auditor, "Why are you auditing me?" And do you know that you can? You have the right to inquiry that. You have the right to know why you are being audited. And then if they tell you that we can't tell you the details right now because you're under criminal investigation, then you know why you're being audited, because you're under criminal investigation, right? So you have a right to know. Even criminal have a right to know why they're being charged as criminal. Am I right? So you need to let go of that burden. When you get audited, ask. If DOL come to audit you, ask. They will tell you that we got information from one of your employee and reporting you are doing wrong things here. That's why we're here to audit you. They will not tell you who that employee is, but they will tell you they were informed of your conduct, so they are here. So those are good information, right? So you will know why you're being audited. And from there, from that answer, you can decide whether you want to respond it yourself or you want to seek representation. So what does representation do for you? If you have community CPA to represent you in this audit we talked about, that generally means that we do not mobilize you, your time, to work with the government. So we represent you 100%. And if you do not want to meet with the auditor because meeting auditor will cause heart attack, we will tell the auditor that we will not introduce our taxpayer to you because meeting you is detrimental to our client. And the government has rules and regulations. We just need to know that we are abide by it. We communicate that. And it is really okay. A lot of times, I actually like my client to meet with the auditor so that they get a sense of who they are working with. In case your tax return looked like a drug dealer, but really, in reality, you're just making good money on things you are doing, and the auditor wants to meet you, so at least will help them to set aside those criminal thoughts they have in mind about you. And we do have those people that on the paper looks like they might just be very obnoxious, aggressive, and disregarding of rules of kind of taxpayer. But when I bring them over to the auditor can clearly see that these folks don't even speak proper English. God knows what they did with these English documentation. They definitely are not that way themselves. But the documentation shows up that way. It could be the representation issue, could be the tax preparer's issue. So with all of that, and there's good or bad, right, to meet with the auditor, but we want to make sure that we make that decision. We help you to make the call together if you are deciding to hire someone. There are times our client come to us, the case is so simple, and then we just tell our client that you go deal with the auditor yourself. We tell you what to bring, how to do. I know you're going to do a better job than hiring another person and then make this peanut becoming a molehill, and auditor think you're hiding something, right? So, in one of our recent sales tax case, the client just literally didn't know they're supposed to pay sales tax for 3-4 years since the business inception. So the state come to audit them and they're thinking that they should pay sales tax, but they didn't. So they came to us and wanting me to represent him to figure out what to do. There's nothing to do. You just need to pay sales tax, right? You didn't pay and you just need to pay. But how much you need to pay? And I think it's better that he work with the auditor with his broken English than me work with the auditor come through as if he's hiding something. He actually was just being ignorant. He doesn't know. So he worked it out. He worked out with the auditor and didn't even need to pay for the whole 3 years. He only paid the last quarter. How did he work out? I don't need to know, but obviously, and that is a result, right? So it is really depends on the case in your hand and how to approach it. With our experience, we can tell you what is the best way to approach it, but you yourself knows better. If your books and record is so sparkly clean and you feel like you will be fine, then do it yourself. There's nothing better than doing it yourself, right? Start working on your paperwork. That would be immediate. As soon as you get the audit letter, the next second, other than calling me and calling somebody else, and just start gathering your paperwork. After all, that is most important. All right, I want to tell you about Bill. This is our most unfortunate client on my book, okay? And the things are still not all done, but this is a gentleman that get audited. The first audit happened like beginning of 2023, and the deal out came to audit because one of his disgruntled employee reported his payroll practice to DOL. So DOL came around, assessed a lot of money out of him. So it went into negotiation, and the lawyers involved, and it's just a big, huge case. And he was charged with 560,000 payment to a DOL, and half of it is the amount he owed to the worker based on DOL calculation, which I don't 100% agree with. But then the other half is the liquidated damage that DOL charges the business owner. So you can see, and for the 2 years, or 3 years audit, he has 560,000 cash need to go out to pay for his mistake. And that's not all. In July, IRS start to audit him on income tax. And then this year, early spring, and the state came to audit him on sales tax. So in April, Bill came to us. And with all of these open cases that he has on hand, so he wants to know what else he would be audited, and what else can come his way, and why it happens this way. Like I told you, in the past, the government agencies are not so related. IRS does its own thing, and DOL does its own thing. So Treasury Department does its own thing. So there's not a lot of relationship between the government agencies. More and more, with technology being so well developed, and you start seeing connections between the government agencies. Just like I told you, if you were audited by IRS and you owe income tax, the next thing you know, the state will charge you additional taxes. Why? Because they're related. They have a system. They share the data. They know you owe taxes in the federal income tax, so the state with income tax will come in to charge you as well. So with that said, and this is where Bill get audited on DOL, and clearly DOL reported him to the IRS, so referred his case to other agencies. So that's why you got IRS come, and you also have state coming in. And you know what I am waiting on state? I'm actually thinking that he'll be audited by the state unemployment insurance, because that is related to the fourth audit I was talking about on the classification of the employee. Because his charges on DOL, some of them are coming from the contract labor. So I knew that would be an issue. So did Bill have all the audited already? Almost, but not. Because he still have three audit he could get into, but he has not. So he did a DOL audit, income tax audit, sales tax audit, then the employment tax audit. That's the unemployment insurance audit I was talking about. I think he will get it. And then the Bank Secrecy Act, which is the cash transaction audit. If you deposit a lot of cash, and the Treasury Department would come in to audit you for cash transactions. So ERC audit, yeah, they're restaurant. So he got PPP, he got RRF, he got ERC, those pandemic-related compliance audit, we will see. So, but in here, when he come to us, what did we do? I want to tell you how we handled this case, right? Because it is already coming through so many audits. And in April, none of these audits really concluded, but he's here with us wanting to know what can we do for him. Why is he that way? So obviously the why is clear. He was reported by his employee, and so DOL started. When DOL discovered so much of payroll was not paid out, you can imagine that DOL will certainly believe there's a lot of income wasn't reported. Otherwise, where did he get the money to pay under table of that amount of payroll, right? So the case was referred to IRS and referred to the state. So that's why all these audits popping out on him. But what we do is for DOL audit, and we review DOL audit result to calculate the additional expenses for the appropriate year. Remember, he get audited for income tax, right? But income tax should be impacted by those payroll expenses. Since he has to come up with these payroll expenses, that just means that in those years he also have these expenses to come in to reduce his taxable income. So we actually make a connection between DOL audit to the IRS audit, so we can reduce his IRS tax liabilities based on what DOL has done, right? So that is one big thing. When we look for connections. We make sure that if you paid money on one place, you really should not be paying more money on the other place. Instead, that 280,000, not all of it. Remember, he was charged with 500 some thousand, and half of it is the payroll, half of it is the penalty. The penalty, you cannot deduct taxes, but payroll you can, right? So the IRS audit, we actually contacted the IRS auditor and introduced our POA. Then we reviewed all the documents that he submitted to IRS. And from there, and we would add expenses and to propose changes to the assessment that IRS has for him. A lot of times I tell my folks that it is okay. You handle the audit in the very beginning, and whatever IRS auditor asks you, you submit that document, right? But you cannot come to the helper. You cannot come to, your lawyer, your CPA, not knowing what document you actually submitted. We have clients just tell us that I don't remember what I submitted. Then how do people help you? We have to see what kind of damage you have already done to the case. And then we can see what kind of damage control we can put in place, right? For example, and we have a person get audited, and he came in halfway and told us that he already submitted all the documentation to the auditor. So we asked him for the documentation. He goes, he doesn't have it. He didn't really keep a copy. So we don't have those copies. Then the auditor, of course, assessed him because we don't have any more things and we don't know what he submitted. So I have auditor to produce assessment. The auditor produced assessment, disallowed all the expenses under the cost of goods sold area. And that puzzles me because as a regular business, he must have some, but why it is all disallowed? So I asked auditor for a copy of what he submitted. And I'm telling you that's a favor to ask because auditor really don't have any business to give you that copy because that's what you submitted. You're supposed to have your own copy. So the auditor actually did show me what he submitted. And on that receipt, it has a different people's name. So he purchased the materials he purchased, but it is not under his business name. It's under a name that's totally not related to him. It's not his name either. So, of course, the auditor thinks that he borrowed someone's receipt, so disallowed everything. Then I asked him, and it turned out to be what? Turned out to be that is his English name. Haha. Yeah, English name, right? So he actually have his English name that he uses to the outside business world, but his legal name did not change. That's why I did not even know he go by that English name because we went by his legal name. With that said, of course, this got corrected after we proved that this is his English name. He used it with his other dealings but this example, right? So those are the things you want to be aware of, and you want to keep your record so that people who come in to help you can step up and do it right away and do it right. And we always propose changes to the IRS audit assessment because we believe that the auditors are very well trained. They know what things can reduce taxes. So when we knew certain things can reduce taxes. And when we propose, we prepare all these documentation and we give a package of our document that is absolutely pleasant to look at. They're color coded, they're documented, tabbed properly. The auditors, a lot of time, is holding our document as an example of the document they desire to receive from other service providers and the taxpayers. So that is how particular we are with our document. We want everything come out of our firm, come out of you. If you hire our firm to do your audit, it is looking pleasant. So important. If we can do a gift wrapping, we would even do a gift wrapping, but obviously, auditor's not going to receive your gift. So if you wrap your document like a gift wrapping, and they're probably not going to receive it. So, just probably not a very good joke, but, it is something that you want to give to the auditor. They are receiving it with pleasure. Not so much of a gift, but it is just organized in such a way that when they look at it, they go, oh yeah, you were right. These are the things, the backup is here, the summary is here, perfect. You don't have to pay any taxes, and your case is closed, right? Have we ever received those kind of a letter from IRS saying to us that, oh, your taxpayer case is closed, no change? Absolutely, we have, many times. All right, sales tax and use tax, right? So this is Bill's other ongoing. So we actually contacted the sales tax auditor and understand the triggers and knows the scope that he's working on. So we work with the auditor to calculate the assessment with the auditor. A lot of times, the sales tax auditor assumes the cash income that he received in the business that was not reported. This is a restaurant, right? So that's very often. So are you allowing the auditor to do 20% of cash based on your credit card, or 8% of cash based on your credit card, or even 2% of cash based on your credit card? So those are things that we'll work with the auditor and to, of course, lower that percentage as little as possible. In reality, who else pays cash to go to restaurant? That is going to be a dinosaur very soon. Nobody uses cash anymore. It is all on credit card. So a lot of the state still use 20% as the cash. If your credit card is $100, they believe your cash income, your cash receipt should be $20. That is so outdated. I do not have any business owners would have that amount of cash unless their credit card machine is broken or they never have credit card. They just take cash. That's a different story. Even that is replaced by checks. All right. To prevent being audited again, and put in measure right away. So once we start working with you on your current audit, we are already start working with you on your near future. So if I take your audit like in 2024 for Bill, we already got 2024 all situated. So if you knew you need help anyway, just make sure that you get the right person to help you. I'm not saying that community CPA is the only right person to help you. We absolutely is the right person. But wherever you are, you want to make sure you find that person face-to-face interview. You cannot dial 1-800 number, have these people buffalo you and promise you the moon, and then at the end you can't even find them anymore, right? You should ask for experiences. So what case the person, the CPA handled before? And is this person ever done any audit? Do they ever received no change letter in their practice? Ask for that question, right? Ask for how it will be charged to you when they provide their service. Are they charging you a fixed fee or they charge you by time? And make sure that you are being audited. You're gonna stay in audit with this person you hired. Don't run away. Don't think that you're done. No, you want to participate. The more you participate, Not with the IRS or the government agency. You don't have to go to meet them, but you participate with your service provider. That's very important. And also be patient. It is a test of patience game. You know, it always make me remember when my kids were young and we used to drive back to Toronto all the time. You know, we're from Toronto, and it's a 14 hours drive. And from here in Des Moines, Iowa to Toronto, Canada. And, you know, on the way up there, the kids will ask, are we there yet? Are we there yet? So many times. So I always tell the kids that it is a patient game, right? You know, it's a long way. Audit is a long way. And I'll tell you, the longer you have for your audit, the better result you're going to have. Why do I say that? Because being long caused by two reasons. Either you need more time, so the auditor is patiently waiting, or the auditor needs time, and he knew he's taking too long to get to you. So those kind of little guilty feelings are healthy, okay? So that the longer you take, normally the better result it is. If you're in the hurry, auditor in the hurry, result gonna be the fast, you're gonna be charged more, right? So it's a test of patience. But for my kids, I have solution, because I will give them 3 coupons along the way. They can only ask 3 times how far are we. But every time they ask, I take away that coupon, so they only have 3 coupons for each of them. So there's 6 asks in total in the car, and that's all I can tolerate. So for being patient with the audit, and I want you to give 12 months as a general rule. Takes 12 months, probably longer. If it is really, really short time, that just means your audit probably pretty straightforward, okay? If you ask me the longest audit I did was 3 years audit, took 8 years, and we lowered taxpayers' tax from $1.1 million tax payable down to $583 refund. That is 8 years. And of course, you're gonna be asking me, oh, Ying, you must made a lot of money on this one. How much did you make? My total invoice was $83,000, and I got paid 0. Because after the audit, my dear client filed bankruptcy. So I actually lost all the fees. I didn't really get any fees out of that. But that is glorious story I have, and I'm just giving you the reality check in practice. So don't file bankruptcy on me. I'm actually so good to you. But I guess if they have to, they did it. But we did save them $1 million on tax payable, 8 years. And actually it was my time and Kwang's time in our firm. We two just worked for free for half of a year. All right, once the result is out, you still have time to regret. That is the beauty of audit. You let audit done, the auditor charge you, you owe $1 million. So what? You can regret. You can say, oh, I don't like my result. I have a lot of things I need to put in, and can I have a chance to put in more? A lot of times the answer is yes. So make sure you know it's not the end of the world. And I put the last sentence there. I'm not trying to be a bad person, but the reality is you can run away from the charges if you have to. When I say the charges, is also the CPA charges, like my charges to my client. They run away, right? Because they file bankruptcy. But if the IRS charges you, you also can run away from that. You just give 3 years, and then you file bankruptcy. And then IRS cannot collect anything. And even if you don't file bankruptcy, after 10 years, IRS will drop the charges. Isn't that amazing? So it is not the end of the world. With state, though, it may not be the same. It is not the same. The state is not as, do not have such a rule. and you owe, and they can bar you from driving, they take your driver license away, they take your house away, and the state can do a lot of things. And it just, of course, it varies by each state, right? So if you decided to owe money to the government, and let me tell you, the federal government is easier than the state government. It's so bad to say. And let's just cut this piece out. The best way to avoid any audit, generally speaking, no way. No way. Everybody is equally subject to audit. And if you did something not really great, and you're going to be audited. And once you are defeated in audit, means that once you pay the money and say that, oh yeah, I did it wrong. Once you did that, you'll be re-audited again. So there are ways to minimize the chance. So let me go through these ways with you. Number one, understand the computerized system and the checkpoints. So when you submit something, you want to understand that what data you submit matches to what data. And from the state to the federal, within the federal government, within the state government, you want to understand those. I know you may be saying that, Ying, that's like you're telling me to read Greek and I only speak English. I understand, but there are people who understand that. So hiring professional folks, they will do that for you. And we, at our firm, we understand it. And let me just say that to you. Our firm is one of the 10 CPA firms recognized as an IT savvy firm. So we understand technology. So we understand what links to what. And stay legally compliant, right, with government procedures and requirements. And why are you wasting your time to even fight that? They have a procedure, just follow. It won't hurt you. It's just going to make you get used to it. Maybe not fair in your opinion, but it's not a place to express your opinion on your own business. If you don't like the rules and regulation, and go to your Congress people, go to your senators, and do something proper, but not to do wrong on your business, right? And a clear, accurate bookkeeping. Garbage in, garbage out. If your accounting is garbage, your tax is garbage. If your accounting is not defendable, your tax is going to be audited. So I say that, people ask me, oh, what is more important? Is tax more important or bookkeeping more important? Then I'm saying that is almost like you ask me, and is eating more important or going to the bathroom is more important? And it's not even the question. This is exactly what you need to do. You need to get your fundamental clear, accurate, then your tax will look up to be beautiful. All right? Hire a professional to assist. That is something you know how to do. And there are also 4 more things I want to mention. Data match for all your entities that you have. Data match is huge, especially in the computerized world. Data match your taxes before you submit, okay? That is one biggest ticket I have for my client. You want me to guarantee you not being audited for 99.9% of chance. I say that you do data match. Trend analysis with similar industry in your area, very important. That is what the business like community CPA or other CPA firm should be able to offer you, that because they work with the business around you. They know the trend. They know what other people do. So that way you're not outstanding in a weird way, right? When you submit the data. Tax structure update is also very important. When your business grow, your outfit grow. Just like baby grow, you don't put baby clothes on an adult, and you don't put adult dress on a baby girl. So it is something that would fit you. So your tax structure is a living, breathing entity. You want to make sure that it is being updated with your business growth. Okay? Tax planning, so important. I am busy right now, really, and I probably work 18 hours a day right now because of tax planning. And if you want your taxes to be done properly, if you want to maximize your tax savings, the best way to do it is before the year ending. So make sure you do tax planning and make sure you do not give yourself a chance to be surprised. Just make your life very eventless, right? We know what we're going to pay in 2025, no surprise. If I tell you you're going to pay $1 million right now, and that's the best you can do, and then 2025 come around, you're ready to write the check, you won't be surprised. You'll be like, I knew that for 6 months already. Okay, fine, I'll pay. That's the mental understanding you have for your situation. It will eliminate your stress. That is that. But stress is very scary when you are being pressed to pay something at last minute for a big amount you felt overwhelming. So don't leave yourself that way. Just get yourself planned, organized first, right? And do not listen to your friend or media say something like who and who has done such and such and never got caught and it must be okay. No. It may be okay to that person. So whatever President Trump did is okay for him. He has the privilege. He also has Supreme Court forgiveness. He can do whatever he wants. But that's not you. I'm sorry, your last name is spelled a little different than Trump. So you may not be able to get away. So just make sure that you follow the rules and don't look at other people. Don't look at your friend. Just because he was not caught doesn't mean he is doing it right. Every time I have clients debating on the things we want them to do, but the objective comes from they have a friend who does this way, that way, and it was never a problem. They're doing great. I have no answer. I don't really know what to say because I hope their friend will get away from it. But that doesn't mean everybody can be that lucky, right? If you call that lucky. But the government job is actually to level the playing field. That's what they do. They want to audit you, audit others, so nobody have a special treatment, right? So with that understanding, do the other things I said you do, but do not look at your friend. And the 10 big rights in tax world. This 10 is coming from IRS website. I didn't copy that from China Made Bible, and it is really the right the IRS told us we have. The right to be informed. So you need to be told you have an audit. If they never told you you have an audit and you got assessed, that assessment is garbage. You can turn that over. The right to quality service. The auditor should treat you as a human being. They should know what they're doing, and that's your right to see them doing the right thing. Right to pay no more than correct amount of taxes. So IRS said right here, you don't need to pay me tips, okay? Just pay what you need to pay. The right to challenge IRS position and be heard. You always have IRS's ear to know your argument. The right to appeal. IRS decision. I have gone to appeal so million times, and that is a way to find the right solution. The right to finality. You need to know your amount. You have a right to know what you're going to end up paying. Even if they say $5,000 taxes, but that's not your amount. Your amount may be $7,500 because the penalty and interest. You have a right to know all of that, not just tax dollars. Right to privacy? Absolutely. And you're trying to get divorced, and so you did whatever you did, and that conversation is your privacy, and that should not go out anywhere. Confidentiality, and your tax return should not be exposed to the public. Of course, but actually, we can see the president's tax return, right? And I did promise folks that I'm going to post the link on our YouTube channel of where you can see Vice President Harris and President Trump's tax return. It's out there. So I have been looking at their tax returns. So, but other than this, right, number 8 doesn't apply to them. They're special, And the right to retain representatives. So yeah, you have right to hire me, and I can fight for you. And the right to fair and just tax system. That is what IRS do every day. And I worked with IRS for 3 years, right? And as their advisory committee, and during those years, I'll tell you that one thing I learned is I know so little about IRS, so I always assumed they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But actually, IRS has such a great system. And if every part work accordingly, we have really good tax system. But of course, with pandemic, with the lacking of human resources, and people don't have a knowledge, those ones who are on the phone, they don't know the answer was right or wrong. Those are all hurdles we have to overcome. But we, IRS, as a country, do have designed a fair, a just tax system. So the Project 2025 and wanting to change all of these systems, that is a very unjust, unfair conduct they're proposing. So I would say that is our intention for the tax system from get-go. All right, so much taxes, and here is our partners, and you can video conference us, any one of us, if you got into trouble with the government compliance audit, right? It is our tax planning season, folks, and people wants to do tax planning with us, and I have never walked away from a planning session to say to myself that, oh, I didn't provide any value. Never. Every tax planning session, I know I had made fundamental difference to their taxes and or to their operation. All right, with the last slides I have here, that's our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our channel. We are over 6,000, but I thought I should get 6 million, but I still have a lot of ways to go. And please tell your friends and your relatives to subscribe to our channel. And we have Catherine at communitycpa.com here. You can email her to ask for topics that you'd like to hear. We will prepare and will come online. I will talk to you again. Have a nice rest of the weekend. November 5th, important day. Don't forget to